Hey, hello. So I'm going to go through my revised Regalia deck profile. So this is the deck list I used 1 week after the Antwerp event in Oberhausen. So to start with, we have the side Vanguard, of course. Any V starter is fine. They all do the same thing. Then we have 4 colors of Angelica, of course for protection reasons, plus the Regalia name. And you could potentially use as a beta as well with the 5k power gains, which is pretty good. Then we've got 4 copies of CEO Yggdrasil. So CEO, obviously to enable boost, also to superior call your Norns from deck, except when you're against Gridora because they'll shut it down by the time they stride. You've got 4 copies of Norn, Vanguard, Rearguard, you can draw a card. You can also provide a quick gauge to unit and soul charge too, so basically you +1 soul with this as well. Very handy card for that reason, and it also lets you restand a unit, which is very strong, enables your other strides to be strong as well, not just Minerva. Then you've got 4 Veratrums. So this is to help with matchups like Nightmare Dolls, for example, or Morfessa, Dagda. Just popping units are strong. Grand Blue is also good against that as well because you can deal with Skull Dragons, especially because the attack patterns usually make it so that they still kind of attack in an order where you can still hit that standing unit because usually they attack with something else first before attacking with the main card, which makes it even easier. 2 copies of Gleipnir, so I've reduced it down to 2 copies. Just felt like there's maybe too many. It searches the Dreaming Dragon out, which is important. It's also a ride that can plus, just in case, or even retrieve a card, a grade 1 that you want to keep from your soul to hand, such as a Stride Assist, which can help you search for your Regalia rides, or VAR, so you can do your gauge equips and things. PG, if you feel that your opponent's actually going to maybe hurt you quite a bit. It's also got the Soul Blast, Recycle PGs, also good for that. Being a 20k beta is also handy. 1 copy of Hemera. It's the same skill as Exorcist Angel, except it's grade 2 form, so you can pretty much tweak these around based on how you want to do your grade ratios. So we've got Hemera here. I did try out Nyx as well, by the way, but I didn't end up running it in the end. I did submit a deck recipe that had midnight Regalia Nyx, which is good for other reasons. I'll probably do that in a separate video. Talk about like other cards that I could have played. Then there's like 2 Exorcist Angels, same reason, just I want a grade 1 version because of the ratios. And then here we've got 4 Vars, which is a really, really good card, especially if you get it early game, because you can plus a lot of soul in the short term. This card basically, I think came most useful, especially like in the tournament during the semi-finals, because, well, top 4 even, because basically I had this in the field already, after barely surviving the No Life King combo, and I managed to draw into another copy as well, so because of that I could do the Amaruda Soul Blast 15 and get through all those protect gifts and win the game. Then there's 4 copies of Jotun, and because it's a normal perfect guard that you can recycle back to your hand. I'm trying to play more crits as well. You can retrieve a Gleipnir, worst comes to worst, if you end up miswriting this, but you need that PG. And it's got the Regalia name, which is useful as well. 3 copies of the Stride Assist, searching for your Yggdrasils and Angelicas, very handy for that reason. Just like the PG, it's low power, so you can swing under stuff as well, in case you want to damage deny in the early game. We've got 1 copy of Ordinal. This has actually been used quite a bit, funny enough, during that tournament, because in the top 4, I used this to make my CEO reach 66k power, and obviously attacking twice with Sentinel Restrict, but in the finals as well I used this as well, although it got killed by I think MP Dragon or something, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, I did end up applying this anyway in both of those games, which was quite interesting because it was only a one-off copy, but it's very useful because you can prevent deck out as well with this by returning your grade 3s off your deck. So worst extreme case scenario, you can still play another turn if somehow your opponent survives. So it's also good for that as well. You can always do things like Soul Blasting 3 with your strides, and during the main phase, like Minerva for example, and then you can use Ordinal on those grade 3s that you Soul Blasted if you're finding yourself short, or you can just call over your grade 3s from your hand and then just call this after, and then do the recycle. 4 heals, obviously you play this because it's good, it's grade 3 heal, it keeps you safe in the early game. Obviously late game you'd rather have the other heal, but I feel like I don't want to risk against decks like Nightmare Dolls. Then you got 4 copies of the Stride Assist crit. So this is obviously to stride. We do have stride names as well, but it's always good to have more ways of striding because this way you at least don't have to think about it as much, because if you commit the stride assist, you can at least fall back on this crit as a strategist target as well. And also enables you to be able to rewrite as well while playing the game, which can be good for getting false markers. Then we've got 4 copies of Regalia crit, good soul charge target with the Regalia G guard, and therefore helping you to meet this condition. Also quite good if you have 2 copies, because you can give 6k to your CEO, make it into a 29, which can then hit magic numbers. 2 copies of Tab Angel, just because we wanted some V triggers, I guess, to fill up the rest of the slots. Obviously you can soul charge as well in strange situations. You might be able to use it with Amaruda. And then you've got 1 copy of Dreaming Dragon. So Dreaming Dragon recycles your deck, Glypnic and search for it. It's simple as that. So I've got 2 cards now that can prevent deck out. I was considering Nyx, just to reiterate again. But in the end, I just end up going with this last minute and changing my deck list from the Nyx version to this. Then there's 1 copy of the Over Trigger. So 100 millions to 2 units is very strong. I think I won a game off of this actually during the tournament. Then we've got 4 copies of Minerva. So the G zone hasn't changed at all. This is obviously to restand your field, especially good against Gridora. 2 copies of Earth, because it can basically put your opponent from low damage to high damage in certain situations. And also play with a lack of soul as well. Then you've got Amaruda. So Amaruda has a Centaur restrict, which is useful, but also it has the 10k and crit guarantee to Rayguard, and it draws 2 during the main phase. So Minerva, while it does plus just as much as Amaruda, Minerva's a delayed plus because it's on drive check, whereas Amaruda's an act skill, so you're getting the draws immediately. So if you have enough Counterblast out there to play with, then this is an option worth considering rather than going to Minerva as well. So it's a handy stride, and because we're not playing the G series Angelica, it doesn't really matter if you go into non-Regalia now, because there's no like interaction for striding into a non-Regalia, into a Regalia specifically. Then you've got Moosepole. It counter charges, which is good. It's also a flip fodder for Amaruda or something. If you want to set up for Earth, you can do that. But yeah, the counter charge is useful. It gives 4k as well as a bonus. You can draw if you want to instead of counter charging. That's also a thing. Say for example you don't have much in terms of counter blast, you can just go for a draw. Then we've got Marduk. So this is just to help you if you high roll, or you're going, well, if you ride up grade 3 first, basically. This is quite good for just basically beating your opponent down with hopefully some crits if you can drive check them. Tagwood, because it's quite easy to use this one, because you only need to have like 1 card on your field that shares the same name as at least 1 card from drop zone, and you can just soul charge up to 3 of the mini copies. So it's very good for that, to guarantee you some shield with less conditions, although it is an alternate condition, so you don't always have it. But then we've got Ear. So Ear is there for giving you some of, well, you basically put like 1 of every different grade to get loads of shields. So ideally you want to soul charge regardless. We've got quite a bit of a mix of grades on that, including the triggers, which is okay. Otherwise, if it's not regardless I'm putting in, then I just use them as equip gauge targets. Then we've got like 4 copies of Witch Queen of Accomplishment Laurea. It helps prevent deck out as well, but obviously I don't expect to use this in every game because Gridora and ODT technically as well. So that's why I play all day now Dreaming Dragon as well. One of the reasons, like, I don't want to rely on G guards to do all my plays. Like, I've got Hammer and X system as well if I ever need to soul charge. Like, it's a mistake to ever build a deck that relies on G Guardians. Don't ever do it. Oracle Think Tank has Ichikeshima, Makoni has Gridora, and as long as that's a thing, you never ever rely on G guards to carry your decks. So we've got these. Okay, so it seems like I misordered, but I do have a 3rd copy of this in my deck. Then we've got Iris. So Goddess of 7 colors Iris. It's just another way of soul charging. It's easy condition to meet as well. Not much shield. Obviously use this if you don't need that much shield in the first place. And then Dismal to protect your CEOs, ideally. So there's not much else there. It's very useful to have. Other than that, that's pretty much my updated deck profile that I used in Oberhausen. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Give me a subscribe if you want to see more deck profiles around, well, mainly Genesis and Oracle Think Tank, but I do sometimes do other things as well, like Ket Sanctuary. I've done Duel Knights quite recently as well, you can check out. Until then, I'll see you right next time. Goodbye.